All right, everybody, welcome to, what's it called?
What's it called?
I'm going to do the Elmo thing.
Is that what you're going to call it?
It's Trippin Billies Podcast. So, welcome to Trippin Billies Podcast, Jim.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody, this is Jim Carosio.
Yes.
And Jim is a very interesting fella. And so we're going to have a little conversation today about his story that brought him to where he is today, which I believe is an inspiration for people.
Thank you.
Okay, Jim, let's start at the beginning. So what was your childhood like? Where did you grow up? What kind of experiences did you have as a child? How did you come up in the world?
Well, I grew up, had a wonderful childhood. Typically, what's more common now than it was back then, my parents were divorced when I was very young. My dad got custody of us children, all
Wow.
boys. You know.
That is a different one.
Yeah. So, but beyond knowing that part was different, everything was really normal. All the love was there. I mean, I remember doing the flashcards with Dad, everything. I went to a parochial school. And, but because of how we were in Chicago, you really were always within 3 blocks of your school.
Okay.
And my dad worked nights, so he was home during the day, and I'd come home for lunch, and then go back to school.
Nice.
And when I was in 8th grade, or 14 years old, I came home, and my dad was dead. He passed in his sleep. Tried to wake him. It was pretty traumatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it took almost 60 years to face that.
Wow. What, he just died of a heart attack, or what?
Died of a heart attack.
Yeah.
Just perfectly in his sleep. Just never woke.
That's rough, man.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah, so there was a little uncertainty with, who was going to raise us boys. Uncles were up for grabs, kind of.
Your mom?
She was out of the picture.
Yeah?
Yeah, at the time, but she eventually came back.
Okay.
And Mom, when she finally came back to live with us, we discovered that she was a functional alcoholic, which was another burden.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of those out there.
Yeah, it's everywhere. But to live it, and So because of her advent, I really stayed away from alcohol. Dad's advent, I stayed away from smoking. He was a heavy smoker. So even though I lived the generation that was eyeball deep into psychedelics, and
you probably thought all kinds of things were bad.
I just wasn't interested because of how
Sure.
the trauma I had. Soon after that, I suffered TBI. I had really traumatic brain injury.
What was
I
that?
was lucky. I got my head got crushed, and wasn't expected to live, and I made it through that.
Okay, back up. Wait.
Yeah,
Your head got crushed?
Yeah.
What did your head?
My head was cracked from ear to ear, and they had to put my head into a skull vise and bring it back together, and all the cranium fluid, which is your spinal fluid, came out and got between the scalp and the skull, so my brain was, what the fuck happened? How did that happen? It's a long story that I just,
Okay.
it's hard to face.
Okay.
But the reason that's important is because later on, that little occurrence in my life,
It's not little.
but it manifests itself into OCD.
Okay.
That's
that's
one of the
coping.
manifestations. Yeah, we had no OCD in our family, and it manifests itself in OCD, and which served me very, very well later in life for my businesses.
Oh yeah.
But also hurt me
Mm-hmm.
with relationships.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's.
See, we're learning things already.
We are.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
you get past the TBI.
Yeah.
And recover, and then you had a business.
Mm-hmm. I exited the military at 28 or 9 years old.
What was your military experience like? What did you do in the military?
I went to Vietnam.
You did?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm 72 years old. I was in a draft.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And ended up doing my service.
So the Vietnam era, soldier, I've heard there was a lot of drug use going on.
There was a lot of drug use. But at that time, I was drinking beer.
You stayed out of all that.
I would smoke
little weed.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I was very functional. I was an Army Ranger.
So were they giving you guys like meth back then? Were they giving you like pet pills? Was that a thing?
Yep.
Because I've heard a lot about that.
It is a thing. Yeah, because we would go out. We would go with small teams, and we would be out for days on end.
Yeah, you can't sleep.
No.
Yeah. No, I mean I get the reasoning, but it was pretty fucked up that they just give them whatever. Like, here you go, take these, and the housewives too. They take these and clean the house all day. You'll feel great.
Just smile.
Why are my wife's teeth falling out? I don't know, but the house is clean. It's all good.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you made it through Vietnam. That's good.
Yeah, you leap forward. Pretty simple at that point. Got married. Decided at 30 it was important to have children for me.
Mm-hmm.
Had 3 children consecutively at 2 years apart, almost to the month. And after I get all 3 children, then who I chose to marry decided she didn't want to be married. So it was easy to get custody of my kids. So now I'm replaying my dad's story.
Wow.
I have custody of my kids.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But so it was very difficult to do. However, it was incredibly rewarding. And with that, I had my own business. Immensely successful. I was a builder in Minnesota.
Okay.
Won many awards.
Houses and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah, small custom builder.
Okay.
So we did custom homes.
Nice.
Worked with architects, clients, that kind of thing. And
there's way more money in that than the track home stuff and like the
track homes in Minnesota weren't even a thought. Weren't even a blink of an eye. I mean, if you wanted a house, you hired a custom builder and you.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And so after many years of that, now kids are starting to graduate, and I decided to come to Arizona and opened up one more business, and only built a couple of houses here in North Scottsdale and in Cave Creek, and then I decided I've had enough of this. I really did. And I built myself my final home in Carefree, Arizona on a couple of acres, which I thought was going to be my final home. And then I met Tanya.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I know Tanya.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So so how did you end up moving from that home then?
Yeah, we decided, I happened to be reading in the Wall Street Journal, and the hottest custom building market, #1 place in America, was Bend, Oregon. Took a trip up to Bend, Oregon, and I just like, this I can do.
It's beautiful up there.
This I can do. So we moved to Bend, Oregon. Sold my house in Carefree, moved to Bend, Oregon, opened up a business, got licensed, started getting clients, met all the architects. They like what we had to offer, and we're in schematic phase for the houses, a lot of money down. And then the economy turned south.
2008.
Yeah, you remember that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Do I?
And the phone started ringing, and we had a big whiteboard. We had all the clients' names on there, and the money that they had, and the due date for the first set of documents. And they started calling one at a time. What money is left, and how do I get out?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
Dude, that story.
Yeah.
I lived that story too. We had I have a tree company that I'm an arborist. We had an office, we had a secretary, we were booming, we had 2 crews going, everything was great. It was like, oh, we're on the rise. This is, we're at the top of all the Google searches. We got all, we're doing all the search engine optimization stuff. And and then that day, we were getting 20, 30 calls a day.
Yeah.
And then the phone just quit ringing. It didn't ring for weeks.
I
Not one call for
yeah,
weeks. It was
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it was a crazy time, wasn't it? Stock market. If you had anything in the stock market, you just like cried. You couldn't stop crying. You know.
I was never in the stocks, but man, I noticed the turn, the dramatic turn.
Yeah, I was trading, and it was like insane. You know, I couldn't catch my breath on it. So I mean, I lost. When that happened, I lost a fortune. You know, and it took. Yeah, I'm still not recovered from the fortune, but I'm recovered emotionally from it. Doesn't matter.
Right.
So, from there, I kind of tagged along. Tanya and I moved around a little bit. I owned a house in Bend, Oregon. And from there, Tanya became chief nursing officer in Virginia. We moved there in Virginia for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years.
That's a long move. It's a long
It was
way.
a long move, yeah. It was an interesting place. And from Virginia, after 3 or 4 years, we moved to Olympia, Washington to Seattle. Following Tanya's career. Seattle, I came back first to Arizona for my kids, adult kids, and now I have a grandson with a granddaughter on the way. It was a smart move, but I've been here for 10 years.
Right.
And we developed friendships, and that's where I'm at now.
But you're still connected up there to Oregon and Washington.
Yes, I am, very much so. Yeah. And a lot of good people. That's why I go back. I go back to Bend every summer for 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah, there's a lot of people I know.
I need to get. I've never been to Bend, Oregon. I've been to Seattle.
Yeah.
In that Tacoma area, but I've not been to Oregon. Never been to Oregon. But it is. I've seen. It's beautiful. I want to go. Okay, so you end up. How did you hear about the psilocybin originally? Like, what was the first thing that brought you to into the psychedelic sphere? That opened up your eyes a little bit.
I didn't know it was psychedelic
before you even knew about the studies or anything.
No, exactly. That's a good question, because for me, the rest of my story is on and off 20 years of cognitive therapy that never, loss of this, loss of that, sites that you've seen, it never really gave you everlasting cure. It wasn't ever going to cure anything. Talking to somebody and they're trying to give you their version out of a textbook about, well, maybe this is why that happened, and you got to count your blessings, look at it this way, and it wasn't working. So I started doing research on just something crossed my path. I never even heard of psilocybin, and something crossed my path, and then I thought, well, maybe that's worth a try. And so my first intuition was, I started looking up where that's available. Costa Rica, Mexico, Jamaica, and I was almost willing to travel. Then I started, I got Michael Pollan's book, Change Your Mind.
How to Change Your Mind is a great book, yeah.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
Read it cover to cover a few times, highlighted it the second time, and what? He's talking about underground guides? What's
clandestine guides?
I didn't know any of that ever existed. Now, okay, what's the chances of finding that? California? Where does one go for that?
Right.
So simultaneously, while I'm doing my homework, I realized that Oregon, the state, just passed legislation. It was voted, and they allowed psilocybin for therapy. And then I thought, holy shit. If they passed that, Bend is the epicenter of gentle people. It's like San Francisco was back in the late 60s.
Days. Yeah.
So I thought, man, there's got to be something there. So I started pulling up Bend right away, and all it was a website that said Bendable Therapy, but there was no way to reach out to them. It said coming soon. I didn't know that there was a whole big arrangement that the state of Oregon was trying to license the growers. They're trying to license the facilitators.
Money.
Big money. big money. So I just kept an eye on it, and then one night, late at night, in bed, I'm looking at the iPad and I'm telling Tanya, holy cow, there's now an email link. It just came up for bendable therapy. This is like 6 months after I first discovered it. I go out to the countertop and I send him an email. Next day I get a response.
What did you say? What was your email?
Well, I'm
interested.
I already tried John Hopkins. I already did the traditional approach. Well, one, I didn't have cancer. John Hopkins was doing something with cancer patients for psilocybin. I didn't fit the criteria. So I just said, hey, I'm interested, looking for help. If you could reach back to me, that'd be wonderful. They reached back to me simultaneously, and there was a plethora of forums. They're trying to discover how to do this too.
Oh yeah,
right? I didn't know this, so I started filling out the forms. It took days. Sent it all back to them. Oh, now I'm one of a couple thousand applicants with them, virtually.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a ton. I'm sure.
A ton. And now I get finally a couple weeks later, I get a phone call from a wonderful gal. Her name is Amanda Gao. And she's the founder of Bendable Therapy, and she's doing an interview with me. She says it's a good time, and we do an interview. And she thinks I'm a candidate, and she knows I don't live in Oregon, but I travel there. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I'm going to be there on this date through this date for 4 weeks. And she says, well, can you make a specific date? I says, yeah. I'll be there. That just gets me there a day earlier, but I'll get there. And happened to be, I had to get a day there in advance. It was my date for a journey was July 17th.
So they give you 1 day. There's the 1 day of prep.
By law.
And then you journey.
No, by law. I was able to prep with them countless hours in advance.
Okay.
Using Skype and every form possible. Countless hours of prep with intention. I really learned how to do this the right way with the intention. And so, I mean, it was many, many hours of intentional preparation. And so I just think, okay, I'm just one of many, many people that they're going through the system right now. So they gave me a date, and it happened to be Monday, July 17th, 2023 at 9 a.m. But I have to go there on Sunday, and I have to see the facility. I know they're doing the check boxes.
The tour and do all that.
Yeah, the check boxes, everything you got to do for the state of Oregon, right?
Okay.
I got to see that. They show me the psilocybin. It's in tiny little clear.
Was it capsules or was it actual
mushrooms?
No,
it's
full
mushrooms.
mushroom.
Yeah,
Okay,
mushrooms. It happened to be Golden Teacher.
Okay.
And it's little cellophane sealed with a state stamp envelopes.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. I thought, oh, this is so cool. And it come, it's like 2 grams and a gram and 2 grams. The maximum Oregon can allow for consumption is 5 grams.
Okay.
Right? And so they show me all of this. They show me the little ceremonial room, and they ask permission to do an audio recording, and they can use it for research, provide to the state, whatever. And plus, they provide me a copy of it. And so Tanya drops me off. I go in, and I'm not nervous at all. And I've read enough about this. I mean, I've been through some really difficult things in my life. How hard can it be to take a psilocybin mushroom, right? And so they asked me, am I nervous? No. And I go back in the ceremonial room, and it's really cool. It's really like the presence of just quiet and nice.
What did the room look like? How did they have it set up?
It was like a small bedroom with a cot right on the floor. Okay. And there was a place for the guide.
Okay. Who
is with you 100% of the time. More of a Buddha kind of atmosphere.
Okay.
Right. And he is
color.
Pardon me?
Was there color?
There was a color going around.
Different, like one color or different
No,
colors?
no, like psychedelic colors, like on a strip.
Oh, okay.
Like up along the ceiling, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, but you're gonna wear blindfolds, right? So I just sit on the edge of the bed. By law, they can't touch the mushroom.
Yeah.
You have to.
You have to open it.
You have to open the pack, yeah, and you pour them into a little bowl, and you just, they were very tasty, and I still consume them like that.
Little chips.
Yeah, like little chips.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I took. He said, "Why don't you take 3.5 grams?" I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I take 3.5 grams, and he said, "Then we'll give you a booster at the appropriate time." Well, when's the appropriate time?
The appropriate time.
Yeah, the appropriate time. I don't know anything about this. So I take the 3.5 grams, and I put my mask on, and I lay back, and only because of my recording, I can tell you the vividness of what I was saying. I tell the air, I'm rising from the bed. I'm lifting.
You're floating.
And while I can still have speech, I'm lifting. Mm-hmm. And then pretty soon, tears start coming down. I'm saying, it's so sweet not to have to breathe. I gave up.
But you're talking.
Yeah, I gave up all resemblance of breathing. And then I thought, why it brought tears to my face, because I'm thinking, my God, all the loved ones in the past on their last breath. This is the beauty. When you give up your breath, there's no struggle. It's beautiful. It's perfect, actually. It's not necessary when you shed this organic body.
Nice. Oh, excuse me. I am coughing for some reason.
Yeah.
I got something in my throat. It's all good.
Yeah. So
sorry. That sounds beautiful.
Yeah, so I just remember taking off into the universe. I'm just this energy form and just blasting away. I mean, I don't have the words to describe any journey.
Well, it's ineffable. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
And you were wearing a blindfold the whole time?
Yeah.
You never took it off? Or did you take it off at one
Not
point?
that time.
Okay.
Not that time. I kept it on. And somewhere along the line, there's so much going on. The journey's so incredible. And it's full-blown psychedelic.
A lot of fractal patterns and geometric
Everything.
shapes and
Yes,
colors.
And I'm going into the pattern, and it just goes infinitely into them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like without form, right? There's no form. And so it's like forever, but not. I hear a voice. It's, if you want the booster. Where is this coming from? It's like,
God?
yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want the booster.
Yeah. So that's, I think, when I summed up enough words, and then I took the booster, and then.
What did they do? Give you 1.5 grams of the booster?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now I have to chew the balance of the booster, which not how I do it nowadays. But
Yeah, take it all at once.
That's what I do now. I don't want any interruption when I travel. So I took the booster and then continued the journey, and I don't know. All of a sudden, he says the playlist is over at 6 hours.
6 hours.
Yeah.
And when after that was up, were you out of it, or were you still there? You're still in.
No,
it
when I came through after 6 hours, the colors.
Yeah.
The colors were so phenomenal. Like the cabinetry or the ceilings or the floors, the colors were so like multiply enhanced.
Mm-hmm.
Their teeth, everybody's teeth were so white,
Well, I mean, they are doctors. But I know what you're talking about. But
Yeah.
the thing with me is, if I had ever taken any kind of psilocybin in my life, I couldn't keep the blindfold on.
I'm there.
Because everything you see is brand new.
Yeah.
Everything you see, you're seeing it for the first time.
Yeah, that's
And it's
right.
like, that's not that's not what we are used to,
Mm-hmm.
and that's altered reality, altered perception. That's why we do it. You know what I mean? That's the reason. You don't want to be stuck in the same pattern your whole life.
Yeah. No, you don't. The what they provided was the set and setting was phenomenal. Learned how to do a journey correctly, and what it really meant. The sacred plant medicine I never take lightly, ever. Yeah. So the following day, I met with, and in a private location, and he had a notepad, and he had the recording, and we talked about things for a couple of hours. And at the end of our conversation, and he says, Jim, he said, we didn't want to tell you this in advance. You're the first legal participant.
Oh, they laid that on you after.
Yeah, in the state of Oregon.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so that kind of accounts why they were a little nervous. I didn't know any of this.
And so there were no other people there but you.
No.
You were the only one.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So they laid it on me, and then I met later on with Amanda, and she says, we're getting a boatload of requests to talk to you. And she says, let us guide you on that. And I said, yeah. Because through integration, they said, hey, what you have, keep close to you right now.
Yeah.
You can't define it.
It's so hard. It's so hard. Cause
you want to yell it to the world.
You do. You want to scream it from the rooftop, but you can't.
What are you going to yell?
Yeah. Nobody's going to understand it.
I don't have the words. What am I going to yell? So slowly, the first interview I gave was with the University of Berkeley. It was Michael Pollan, not him, but his assistant, who runs microdosing. It's a web publication.
Okay.
So it's called 5 Questions, and we talked for a couple of days, different times, different schedules, and gave her my experience, and eventually it was written up and published.
Nice.
And there has been so many. I mean, Oregon Public Broadcasting, Sacramento News. It's all. I mean, and
It's a big deal.
A lot of it I turned down.
Yeah.
It was like all of a sudden ABC is trying to find me.
This is all the rage in
Yeah.
the country right now.
Yeah,
People are talking about this everywhere.
It was a big deal, and it was so sacred to me. It was so sacred that I went home, and something stirred inside of me. This wasn't a one and done. There is no way. Anybody ever thinks this is a one and done? Try it.
Why would it be?
Why would it
Why would it be?
Right. So, still, I did not know what to do about this. So I called them up, and I said, I'd like to come back for a second journey. They said, yeah, when do you want to come up? I could fly up there next week. Yeah, fine. So I took a second journey, and that was a little bit different, a lot of it different. It was all in Sapia. And, the plant medicine, I know, Gary, you believe this. It always provides what you need.
Yeah. Not what you want, but what you need.
Yeah, so I was going through something then and provided exactly what I need with different messages and different everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I was able to reconcile. The second journey is when I really got to work. I really dug into the trench, and I got to work on it. I went back, internal family system.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with somebody prior to that to prepare myself for that, and it does work because I was able to reconcile with my young self.
A lot of trauma there.
Yeah. And to actually see your young self come up to you and embrace them, and I did the best I could, and other things in my life I reconciled, live with, and it's just that human experience. So after the second time when I'm meeting with my guide, he says, let me look something up for you. He says, you need to be with like-minded people, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
and he gives me the Phoenix Psychedelic Society.
Yep.
So I look
That's
him up.
how you found us.
Yeah, that's how I found you. And then I look him up, and I met you the very first night, and I was a newbie, like we all are when we first go there.
Yep.
And the rest is history, you know. And since then, it's been an eye-opening.
This stuff is so underground still. You know what I mean? Where it shouldn't be.
No.
Like it really shouldn't be.
No.
We as a species have lost our way.
Yeah.
You know, and so hearing your story
Mhm.
is it's so important because this is like government sanctioned, like reality. We gotta do the right thing. You know, let's do the right thing finally. And so now, what's your relationship with them? You can. I mean, you called them up the second time and said, I want to journey again. Could you do that again?
Oh, I actually went up this last summer.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to journey with them, but they wanted me to participate with a couple events with them. I'm their poster child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And one of them, they wanted me to sit in an integration circle that they had. They're missing an incredible opportunity with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they really never did an integration circle with love. You know,
You gotta have love, man.
oh man,
You gotta
that
have
was
love,
that,
man.
and I just like, you know, I just gave people my little bit on it, and it's like you could have heard a pin drop in that room. They were afraid to speak. You know, they didn't know what to make about the whole thing. You know, they're under the premise that it's one and done.
Yeah, this is a cure-all pill, fix all your ills.
And so at the beginning,
That's not how it really
you know, we're
works.
going around, and I know the principles in there. Well, first off, I go in there, and I haven't seen Amanda like in a year, and we embrace. I picked this little thing up off the floor, and we embrace for over 3 minutes, just this deepest hug, and the bodies are out. I mean, your soul is out of your body. It was just crazy, and everybody's in dead silent trying to figure this out. You know, and this was soul to soul. This was somebody that is enlightened.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Your energies were aligned.
yeah, it was all about energy at that point. You know, just and the vibrations. And so after that, then I sit down and so we go around. Okay. Let's start with you. When was your last journey? And everybody's going around saying, and Jim, when was your last journey? Oh, 2 weeks ago. And, you know, I got kind of the big eyes and how many journeys have you taken? And I said, not many, you know, but I said, I've learned that my journey calls me back. It has more work to do with me.
Yeah.
While I'm becoming who I really am. And I got the big look, like, where did that come
What
from?
are you talking about?
Yeah. So I said, you know, I've been on 12 journeys. So, but I said each one is very purposeful, and each one is very dedicated. I put as much work into every journey I take as I did at the very beginning. The difference is, I don't need to travel
Yeah.
so far away, and I
Well,
don't need to
Oregon.
worry like, where is this underground? So then I meet Phoenix Psychedelic Society, and then now I'm with like-minded people that have been touched by this incredible plant medicine and what it can do for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what has it done for me? My life is not perfect, but guess what? Nothing can shake me because of where I'm at. I'm more into the exact moment than worrying about tomorrow. I let go of the past. There's nothing I can do about any of it.
Be here now.
Here and now.
That's it. Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. Now, when you were doing all of this, Tanya, how was she like involved? Was she taking you to the appointments? Was she there with you?
Yeah, Tanya was there the first time, not the second time. Second time I flew up.
Okay.
First time she was very, very supportive. And the second time that I went up, Tanya and I had already been separated. So
Interesting, because so she never had any psychedelic experience before this.
No.
That's a thing. Like, people need to understand. Like, Paul Stamets highlighted it, that if you are planning on doing one of these experiences and you're with someone in a long-term relationship, you both have to do it or don't do it at all.
Well, and again, it's what we were talking about earlier. It's like the difference is somebody's in the fast lane and somebody's just getting on the ramp.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you can't. It's very difficult to.
It is very difficult.
Together.
So that kind of put us in different directions, because all of a sudden I'm reading everything from Rumi to a whole cornucopia of books, you know, and I can't get enough of it, and I'm filling my life with all of this. So life has changed in ways that are just undeniable. You know, I talked to my adult kids, I have 3 of them, about this, and it was easy for me because I said, I took a psilocybin journey, and here, read this. I gave them, whichever one I gave them, I don't know. I said, just read this, and if you have questions, we'll talk, And I said, later on, if my crew ever wanted to seek the truth, I says, I know people that can help you.
Yeah.
Because you need to be awake. You can't go through this life asleep.
I think it's a travesty that people go through this entire existence without experiencing the psychedelic experience. I mean, it's such a fundamental thing about being human.
Well, Gary, it's not. People think it's we're seeing the psychedelic purple haze.
It's all about wavy lines and goofy colors. It's not. It's not about that at all.
No,
it's not even a little bit about that.
The truth. I had one time on one of my journeys, I had 2 guides. They're just white pillars. And I know this happened because I still record my own journey, and then I listen to it, because you can't remember half of this stuff.
No.
And I'm crying to these guides. I says, "You're telling me too much. I don't understand. I don't understand that formula." And these guys are telling me that they're pillars, and they're just giving me the truth. And that's where the journey is so sacred. When you go back, it gives you more truth to enable you to become who you really are. Yeah. When you finally shed the story that life tries to put onto you, that's hard to do.
Yeah. It's tough, especially when you're coming up in a hard life with difficult family and economic circumstances and all that stuff. It can be very challenging, and it's not. We don't get choice a lot of the time.
No.
Until later in life.
No,
you can develop yourself enough to get to the point where you have a choice.
Well, that's what life does to you, though,
you're
right?
lucky.
It kind of, life and ego and all of that kind of just keeps funneling you into, why do I have to be a breadwinner? Why do I have to have 3 kids, a wife, and a cat in the yard? And this is society. Why do I have to eat the food pyramid?
Yeah, well, I think bullshit.
So is everything else.
So is everything else.
Right. So is everything else.
Oh my goodness. There's so many things about our diet, especially in this country, in the United States, it's just wrecked. Yeah. We have ruined things, but I've read this book called The Plant Paradox by Stephen Gundry. And, I always thought Stephen Gundry was like this snake oil salesman kind of guy. Yeah. But I read his book and I'm like, this is actually, it makes a lot of sense. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to, I got to buy into this a little bit, because it seems like he's done his research and he seems like he has his background in check. And all of our food's fucked. All of our food is a mess. The grains that we eat, The processed food, obviously, the sugar is the biggest drug on the planet. Nobody wants to talk about that.
Yeah.
Sugar is the thing.
That's right.
That kills
it's
more
stimuli
people.
for the brain.
It kills more people. You know, sugar, alcohol, tobacco, all these things, perfectly legal, no problem. No, have all you want. Go ahead, have all you want. Don't drive while you do that. One of them. The rest you're okay. Caffeine, all of them are fine. Alcohol's fine. No problem.
Yeah, right.
No, how many people die every day?
Yeah.
No problem. No problem. But psychedelics. Sorry, wrong, sir.
And you can even roll it back. Like, okay, if you don't like the word psychedelic, a mushroom out of the earth.
A mushroom.
That grows naturally.
Yeah.
In the earth.
A fungus.
You go to Oregon, they grow everywhere outside.
Oh, it's crazy. Seattle's crazy. That rainforest up there.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
I could spend weeks out there. There's so many mushrooms
I
growing
know.
everywhere.
That's right.
It's a fun hobby. Mycology is a fun hobby. There's so many though. I can't even begin. There's these people that know the scientific name. You know, all the nomenclature is ridiculous. The names they have is just other. You know, I mean, people know Amanita muscaria. Like, that's
the
common,
one that's on every poster.
You know, it's a common one, or like psilocybin. You know, these common names. But there's these mushrooms out, Mycenia, and these crazy. I can't even say them. There's too many. They're too complicated. But it's fascinating, and there's so many. There's so many we don't even understand.
Yeah. You know, you got to get into the in-depth. But it all depends on where you're at with your journey through this life. Thank you. And for me, where I'm at, because you know, I'm in that stage of life where mortality is a real deal. Okay. But I guess what I'm suggesting is you look for the truth. You know, going to Catholic school and getting sold that bill of goods with fear, and this is it, and the King James, like, what a bunch of baloney they sold us on that whole.
I feel you. I was real curious, you know, because I wasn't raised particularly religious. I went to church one time when I was like 6 or 7, and you know, my mom took me to the youth group in this gigantic church, and like, you know, I'm in there with all these kids, and there's this pastor, and he's saying all this stuff. I'm listening to this guy, and I'm going, he's the authority figure. He knows what's up, you know, but then he's saying stuff, and I'm going, there's no way in hell you know that. Nobody could know that. Nobody could know that. If you're still alive, dude. I'm 6 years old. I know you're full of shit, man. Like, how are you even trying to tell me that's true? You couldn't possibly know that. And so, you know, it's not. It was more intuition than knowledge. But I'm just going, you're telling me that you have some special knowledge that isn't. I mean, I'm not able to like get into for whatever reason. I can't get into that knowledge myself. But you're gonna tell me, and I'm supposed to just believe you. Yeah. Now, last 2 years ago, I got real like, I want to really know. I want to know what's all this really about. I read the Bible. I read New Testament, Old Testament. I read the Quran. I read the Bhagavad Gita. I read all of these big texts that are supposed to be sacred, the sacred scriptures, the most important writing ever made.
But it's based on an interpretation of the writing.
A person's interpretation.
Right. You know, rather than just all agree, okay, Christ wasn't a Christian, Buddha wasn't a Buddhist, and you can go on, you know, you can go, Muhammad wasn't Islam. If you can just agree, okay, they're all sages, very enlightened people.
I think they all have psychedelic experiences.
There you go.
I really do, and this was their interpretation of what they experienced. I get it.
Yeah, we haven't invented this. Go back to the pyramids. Say, look at the etching in the pyramids, right? I mean, with mushrooms on the walls there, or
the Eye of Horus, all that stuff. Yeah, it's crazy.
Thousands of years. You know, we're not reinventing anything. The Spaniards did a really good job, right, by shutting it all down in Mexico.
Yeah,
right?
just burn it all.
Yeah, burn it all down. Let's just
destroy it all.
Down, right?
No
Let's
record.
hide it all. No record of it.
All right, so the Egyptians had it right.
The Egyptians had it right. I mean, go back further than that.
I don't think
civilizations.
Honestly, I'm with Graham Hancock on the Egyptian stuff. Like, I think the Sphinx is way older than what they're telling us. I think the pyramids were way older, and then the Egyptians built on top of them, you know, and took them for their own, which makes sense.
Has been the history of the world.
Yeah.
You know, civilization in the world. You know, here's the thing, Gary. You know, in the Christianity, they want us to believe that, okay, there's like 10,000 years, maybe, or 5,000
6,000 were they?
Yeah, right.
And we know that's bullshit.
Of course it is. It's so blatant.
It couldn't possibly be
And then they
right.
try to, and then there's the theory, you know, the science. Okay, the missing link, you know, we came from apes. And but they can't quite bridge that link. You know, come on. But then you go back into ancient artifacts that are carbon dated or underneath known.
Under a giant monolithic
Yeah,
stone
that's
that
iron.
hasn't been moved
That's
in
iron. It's an
10,000
iron
years.
tool, and it's like dates back 200,000 years old. What psilocybin does, again, it gives you a clean palette to think. All of a sudden, your neurons are connecting. We won't even talk about what that does to human beings. It's just phenomenal, you know, for your brain. It's non-addictive.
Not addictive. It's got the lowest LD50 of just about any substance.
Yeah, you're not going out and knocking out people so you can get the money to go get a mushroom, you know?
Well, I wrote a couple papers when I was in college and doing research on drugs and how they've affected society and what, you know, how they've tried to combat it. The war on drugs is a whole racket. It's a racket for money. It's a racket. It doesn't make any sense. And it's all a war against personal freedom. It has nothing to do with saving us from anything. Saving us from ourselves? What are you saving us from? Exactly. Like, I get it. You don't want your kids to go out and do heroin. Yeah, nobody does. I don't want that. You know, but I'm not going to go do heroin if it's legal. You know, my kids shouldn't either. I should teach them better than that. And not teaching them that and them going and doing heroin has nothing to do with being legal or not. If people want to do heroin, they're going to go do it whether it's legal or not.
Yeah.
Period.
And there's so many well-known people that we know. Ram Dass. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
Timothy Leary.
Timothy Leary was a poster child for the war on drugs because he said, you should go get fucking loaded because it's awesome.
Yeah,
and they're like, you can't have that. You can't be saying that.
Ram Dass took a different approach on it.
He was a little safer.
Yeah, and Ken Kesey, look at him.
Ken Kesey was a brilliant guy.
Brilliant guy.
I mean, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a great
absolutely.
movie and book. I read the book. The book's way different than the movie.
Yeah.
Way different.
Yeah,
but it's really good.
But deep. I mean, think about what that did to their lives. You know, I have an article about Timothy Leary, how the feds were after him, and you know how he got arrested.
I read like 5 books about his life.
Yeah, it's just
crazy story.
It's just nuts what the
he escaped from prison, went to Algeria, did all this crazy
the
stuff.
federal government, you know.
Yeah,
They
he was
tried.
running. Did
What
you
they
know?
do? They wanted to silence him. That's all they.
Did you know that he was running for governor of the state of California, and the Beatles wrote "Come Together" for his campaign?
Oh wow! Oh,
that song was for his campaign.
Come together. Okay.
I mean,
That's
amazing.
Cool. I did not know that.
And the guy, I mean, his life story is like the greatest. It would be the greatest action movie you've ever seen in your life. Yeah. But he had fun. He always had a smile.
Well, we have brilliant people right now walking among us. Andrew Reel.
I mean, dude, I love that guy. I tried to get lunch with him. He lives in Tucson.
Yeah, I know.
He's close, you know. And I read his book, and I'm like, oh, this guy's cool. He's right down there, U of A.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I sent him an email, and I'm like, he's probably not going to respond. But I'm like,
I
hey man, I'm going to be down in Tucson doing palm trees. You want to have lunch? Like, I'm doing palm trees. Yeah, what are you going to do?
But they're all around us.
Yeah,
they're all around us. You know, we're on the cusp of something happening, but it's gonna be a while. You know, depending on the way the politics.
Let's see how this election goes.
Yeah, it could be a long, long way.
Either way, it's going to be a long way. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not. I mean, I don't know. I can't throw my hat in the ring either way because I can't align with either thing going on. It's like they're both so far out there to me, and I'm just like, wait a minute, like what happened to the middle?
Yeah.
What happened to like let's compromise? Let's compromise.
You know, I spoke to the editor, found me from the Sacramento Weekly, and that's strictly a political newspaper, and he's a guy about my age, really nice guy, and he dabbled, he said when he was younger with psilocybin, he says strictly for giggles, right?
Sure.
He had no idea. When I told him the in-depth travels and the journey,
and
he wrote up on it and it was published in their publication, Then he asked, "Can I get a couple of legislators involved and talk to you because there was a vote coming up in California, and they're trying to model our law after Oregon, and if you can say a few things to them and tell them how to change your life, you know."
Oh yeah.
And so I did talk to them, and but they still voted it down. You know, they're
People
looking
are so
for
scared, and the propaganda that they've built against this is so powerful. Like when I was terrified of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't tell this story.
No, let's hear it. Come on.
But there was this girl I liked.
Yeah.
And she came to me and she said, "Hey, do you want to come to my house after school? We're gonna take acid, or no, it wasn't acid. It was ecstasy." And her and her friend, a girlfriend,
We're gonna ball.
wanted to like
Yeah, I know.
have a good time. And I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
And then I went and played basketball and did not go over there at all. Did not go close. I just ran away. And I'm like, now I'm looking back going, man, that probably would have been a good time.
That would have been a life-changing moment back then.
This girl used to come in and be like, she'd be standing next to me.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden she'd go,
yeah.
I'm like, what was that? And she said, acid flashback. I'm like,
oh yeah,
what?
Yeah.
You know, like I didn't know anything about that stuff. I was like, what are you talking about?
That was all propaganda.
It was total propaganda.
Yeah, your brain on drugs. Yeah, they show a frying egg and bad trip. You know, you're gonna have, as a man, you're gonna have bad sperm. I mean, you don't want to
contaminate all your DNA. Is gonna be wrecked.
You can't ever impregnate anybody. You know, the woman will bear a horse. I mean, you know.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they really did a number on.
It's all intentional. Mm-hmm. I mean, they knew that people who took these kind of substances would not fall in line as easily.
Yeah.
People are they're awake. They're awake and they go, this is all a facade. Like, I don't really consider cannabis a psychedelic. Mm-hmm. But I will say, I'm not a big fan of cannabis in general. I've had fun. I've had the laughing, giggling stuff, but I've also had the like horrible headache and dry eyes and dry mouth, and I just not feeling very good the next day. So I kind of stay away from it. But I have noticed if I smoke cannabis and then I try to watch something on TV, can't do it because I'm watching it going, oh, those are just actors. They're just pretending. It's all pretend, and it looks like it's pretend. It doesn't even look real anymore. Yeah. If I was sober, I'd buy it. If I was sober, I'd go, oh yeah, I just kind of go along with it because that's what we do. We've trained ourselves to just go along. Yeah, you know what I mean. And I think it's the same way with life. Like we just go along because that's what we're told we have to do. There's these rules. You follow the rules. You don't break the rules. You stay in the lines. Color in the lines. Yeah. And it's the same. It's the same thing. And so for me, like, I think cannabis is a special plant. It is definitely a powerful plant medicine. It's just not mine. You know what I mean? But I see the value in it.
Yeah, it's still a plant medicine. I agree. Put that aside. You know, it's not for me either. I did enough of the giggling with that in my 20s, but definitely is not for me. But the psilocybin is so sacred to me. It is.
It changed my life too. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. And so when was your last journey?
September,
okay. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. It was a long time ago.
Mine was only a few months ago. But,
no, this last September, so we're only end of October.
Oh, so it was just last month. I thought you meant the year ago.
No,
okay.
Because I'm new to this, right? Since July of 2023, we're in 2024. Yeah, so 12 journeys in 12 months, basically. You know,
I'm not that far ahead of you. I started in like 2018. I mean, you know, so. But people, once you know, you know. You know, once you're in the club, you're in the club. It doesn't matter when.
That was one of the things that they told me in Bend. You know, just they said, once you see, you can never unsee.
Yeah, you open Pandora's box, you can't shut that again.
No, even though you can't possibly explain.
Yeah.
If you try to, you're gonna fall way short. It's almost a disingenuous attempt at really what's happening to you. You know, I'm under, and again, we all have different beliefs. I'm under the belief that, you know, you can't, we're built of atoms, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You can't destroy an atom. You can't crush it. You can't put it down the drain. It doesn't go away. You know, when we are end with this earthly experiment of existence, our atoms just go on to something else. It's energy, it's vibration, it's, you know, and then when you're under the belief, it's not the brain is just a mechanism. It's like that circuit board, right? That controls everything. Yeah. Right? It all comes from the heart. It all comes from the heart.
So the best one I heard was the television set analogy. And I think it was Terrence McKenna, if I'm not mistaken, that said it.
All
but basically he said, you know, you're watching TV and you see Mickey Mouse on the TV. You're like, oh, let me get Mickey Mouse out of the TV, and you take the TV apart, looking for Mickey Mouse, and all the little pieces. Yeah. There's no Mickey Mouse. Yeah. You know, that signal is coming from somewhere else. Yeah. And that's what I think consciousness is.
Yeah, that's the consciousness.
I think our brain is just the TV. Yeah. And the signal's coming from the cable guy up top somewhere, whatever that is.
Yeah, wherever that is. Right. We're going to find out one day, but wherever that is, and it's, you know, diving back into the sacred journeys with psilocybin, it's, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you to go back for more truth so you can become who you are, that life has done a fair job of washing away the real knowledge of that. Yeah, ever since birth, which are not cognitive of, or being a newborn baby, pretty soon we're shoved into traditional lifestyles, and that is who we think we are. Yeah. You know? Oh, you need to vote a certain way. You need to eat a certain food. You know, this is all put on us until you start discovering the truth.
That's true, man. I feel like there is a limit. You know, people need to do these things the right way. And it always bothers me when people are careless.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Because it ruins it for everybody.
Yeah, very cavalier.
You can't do that. You cannot do that. It's too important. It's too important to get this right, because we've lost something as a species in how we interact with the world, how we interact with each other, and these things could help us get it back. These tools.
Well, they call it the New Earth.
These tools, psychedelics are tools that we can use to get us back to where we should have just always been. And the ancient peoples that, you know, they used these things. They didn't know what they were doing. There weren't rules. There weren't all these laws. There wasn't all this huge society built up yet. They lived in small tribes, and they found these plants that helped them, and they figured out a way to use them in a way that was beneficial. Yes. And now, because of a few, all of us are suffering.
Yeah, or that's... there's been recent incidences in the news, you know, a bad pilot, you know, claims, well, yeah, I took...
Took mushrooms 2 days ago, 3 days, it was like 3 days ago, I think. It's ridiculous.
And all of us that ever have been on a journey know how BS that is. That is so non-existent. Yeah. It's just unbelievable. Or people that just are cavalier with it. They're looking for the fun, they're looking for the color, you know, and they eat them like popcorn. People that speak in that terms... It's not that I have respect or disrespect. I like to think that I'm beyond that. It's like I'm almost sorry for them that is their interpretation of what's going on. Yeah. Because it's so magnified 100,000 million times more than that.
You could have such a better experience with it.
Yeah.
And if you do it the right way, it can be the most beautiful experience of your life.
And the most life-changing thing you could ever do. You know what you go back to Changing Your Mind with Poland's book. You know, people rated it like in the top 2 or top 3. No, it's the top life-changing event that's ever happened. Yeah. Ever. Yeah. And I've had a lot of life-changing events. That significantly blows them out of the water.
Yeah. They put it right there with birth of a child or death of a parent, all these things. And it makes sense because those things are pivotal in your life, and so is psychedelic. If you do it right,
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you do it wrong, you can have a terrible experience. It could be pivotal too in a bad way.
Yeah, you need guidance on it. If you're a newbie or a novice, as I was, you need to surround yourself with people that know, because you don't know. And you get guided along, and you cherish that, because...
One thing that I learned over the years is you can make all the plans you want when you're sober. It doesn't apply when you're in that psychedelic space. It no longer applies, because you're no longer in your right mind, right? You're no longer in a space where you are in control of you or your surroundings. So planning, setting, making sure that you're safe, making sure that you're in a space that's going to remain safe for the duration is so important. You know, and that was the mistake I made. Was like, people have always told me, oh, you got to do it out in nature. It's the best place to do it. And that makes perfect sense. When you're sober, it makes perfect sense. But when you're in the middle of the woods and the trip comes on, and you start to realize things like, there's bears. There's wolves. There's mountain lions out here. All these things pop into your head, you know, and all of a sudden, this wasn't such a good idea, but it's too late now. You're already on the ride.
You know, it's funny that you say that, but I took one journey in the spring out. We were camping, and T knew where I was, okay, and that the journey that I was going to take, I didn't know how long it was going to last, but she knew where I was. She could see me, and it was totally private. So I took a little low Tommy Bahama chair. Well, I ingested it first, and I had to get going, because you know how quickly it
can come on pretty fast sometimes.
Yeah. So I took a Tommy Bahama chair. I was sitting low, and I think I had a t-shirt and shorts on, and no blindfold. And the journey came on, and then I just sat back, and then all I remember was every needle on every pine tree, and there was thousands of pine trees. They were connected with beams of light.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like slivers, like spider slivers, right? All of that. And then beyond that, I remember being off the chair, digging into the earth, and wanting the mother to reclaim me. It was all so beautiful. I wanted to be part of it. I just wanted to be reclaimed into the earth. And when I finally started coming out of it, I had no shirt on, no shorts on, and I was deep in the earth, like, it was just a memory of the needles all touching each other with the beams of light, and me begging Mother Earth to reclaim me. That's all I wanted. It was so peaceful and so beautiful. I just want to be part of that.
I know that feeling. I was on a really deep journey. Nothing's quite like having your feet bare on the earth.
Yeah,
when you're
grounded.
when you're there, and I felt this connection that I can't even put into words.
When you're grounded.
But everything,
Yeah.
every pebble, every rock, every tree, every being, everything I was connected to, and I could feel them all. And it was just so wild. It was like an infinite amount of connection. And then I astral projected out of the planet. There's all kinds of crazy things happened after that, but it was a really high dose, and it was a really profound experience in my life. I will never forget that.
Yeah, you don't forget any of them.
Yeah.
Any of them. You know, I gotten into a habit of not journaling. I have a certain book that I just keep notes on, like, what did I take? Well, first one was easy because it was in Oregon. It was 5 grams of Golden Teacher. Second journey was easy. It was 5 grams of pink buffalo. Yeah. And then, you know, and then somebody within our society said, you know, blend your mushrooms. And so I started keeping a journal. Okay, let's do 3 grams mixed of Golden Teacher mixed with maybe 2 grams of flying saucer and see what that does. And it kind of provides a different direction, or at least the plant medicine took me where it wanted to, all right?
Right.
So I would do different things, and it's like, okay, after 12 journeys, I have like a little unscientific idea of what these little mixtures do,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And then I interjected, there's a little mushroom called Mr. Peanut, super powerful, and
I've not heard that one.
very nauseating though.
Oh, really?
If you can hold it in, yeah. So then let's just give a little pinch, like half a gram of Mr. Peanut, you know. And everything is in like vacuum sealed bags, so it stays fresh. You know?
I mean, the strongest I've taken is like Penis Envy, like albino Penis Envy, and like Enigma. Enigma was pretty powerful.
Mhm.
I'd like to try a little more Enigma next time, because I only took like 1.5 grams or 2 grams. It felt like 10 grams of like Mexicana, Golden Teacher, any of the regular B plus, any of those.
Right.
It felt like 10 grams. It was powerful, and I was like, whoa! I only took a little bit. That's crazy, you know. But it's all experimental, you know, because we don't have.
I know.
The research. We have to do it ourselves.
Yeah. I think I told you earlier that I'm getting it's for mycology. I'm trying Krishna, which is on the highest scale. And it's supposed to be very easy to grow, particularly if you want to use rice tech to start off. So,
like Uncle Ben's tech?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to try the Krishna and see.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah, I will let you know.
That's awesome. I definitely want to. I need to do more experimentation with MAOIs. That's what I've been drawn to kind of learn more about, because I've done some pretty wild journeys with high doses of psilocybin with an MAOI.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure if it mitigates the trip in a way. It kind of keeps it under control.
I don't know either. I wonder. I'd be curious to find out what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, with DMT, you have to take an MAOI to keep yours, to make the trip happen. If you take it orally.
Yeah.
So my reasoning is, the psychedelic trip is kind of the same with whether it's psilocybin, LSD, DMT, any of these, chemicals seem to react in our brains the same. They're all serotonin, so I thought, well, let me try this MAOI with the psilocybin and see what happens. And it was always really pleasant, even at very high doses.
Yeah.
But then I took a high dose without it and had the worst experience of my life. But there were other factors, so I'm like, I screwed up the science. What did I do?
It's too late for your little journal.
I got to keep my book. I should have kept my book straight. I didn't. So I'm gonna go back and kind of titrate, up a little bit and see what that does. I want to learn more about that. So
I think there's something to be said about that. And I didn't invent that. I don't know where I read it from. Probably one of Terence McKenna's books, or I'm trying to figure out where I got it. Yeah.
So I've have you ever like hippie flipped or candy flipped or any of those?
Yeah, twice. Just a friend provided.
Just the mushrooms and the MDMA. Okay.
Yeah, then a friend provided some LSD.
Okay.
And did the LSD with a small dose of LSD with psilocybin. Yeah.
So what was that journey like? Was it long? It was really long, huh? Because it's like 12 hours with LSD.
Yeah. But the LSD, after the journey was over, the LSD, I think it was the LSD I wrote in my book, would not let my brain rest.
You can't shut off. I know the feeling.
Okay. Yeah. And that was the LSD. The MDMA, of course, just was love. Just pure. I call that journey, I only did it once because it's hard to get. But that journey was the one where I called it, at least the kiss of God. I named my journeys. Like, man, that was so, the love just poured nonstop. Think about that for like, my journeys are always about 6 hours, just nonstop love, That's awesome. And it was just incredible, feeling the love of, it's like, not so much the physical imagery of your loved ones, but just knowing the presence. And just wave after wave after wave of
So awesome. Everybody needs to have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I sound like Timothy Leary. No.
Yeah, everybody needs this. Put it in the water.
Put it in the water. Yeah, I tell you, I wish Congress could get a dose of that. That'd be really good for them.
Boy, they need something, don't they?
So, yeah, Arizona Psychedelic Society
Yeah.
is, I've been kind of involved with that organization since about 2019. When you first experience these psychedelic states, you want to tell everyone, you know. But I realized, like, if I tell people this, they're going to think I'm out of my damn mind. They're going to think I'm crazy, you know. And especially like friends that I've known a long time that I know their views already. I already know their conservative views on some of these things. So I'm like, they're not going to be receptive to this, you know. So even in that hyper like excitement that I felt, I was able to temper myself. But I don't think a lot of people are able to do that. I think a lot of people just go out and start telling everybody. And
You can't do that.
I know, but I think a lot of people do.
The rule is, what you just experienced, hold it tight.
Yeah.
Share with no one unless they're like-minded. You know, I agree. I've heard of people just, I want this for my neighbor Joe who needs it bad. I'm using that as an example. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to tell them anything other than they'll look at you like you're nuts. You know, Gary, at least it's me, I'm under the impression that plant medicine finds you when you're absolutely ready for it.
I know it did me.
Yeah, it did for me.
I think that some people it doesn't.
Yeah.
I think some people will get caught in it before they're ready.
Yeah, and then
That's the problem.
And then you want, this is so good. I need this for my niece. I need this for my Uncle Joe. Yeah, whatever. You can't go and convince anybody anything. You can let them see how you are different, maybe.
Yeah.
But they have to be the one to kind of
Yeah, I agree with you. 100%.
open up the conversation. You can't. You'll scare the heck out of them.
I think I did a few people. I did because there were some people that I felt like maybe they're ready, maybe they can handle this, and then shortly into the beginning of the conversation, I realized I was wrong. You know what are you gonna do? Like,
and that's why that Phoenix Psychedelic Society is so important. I mean, for those of us that are locally and can attend it, and even within our own group of people, you know, there's a whole genre of different people with different levels of experience, and you know, and different levels of respect, I guess, for the plant medicine.
Oh yeah, for sure. So back when I first discovered these things, I went to the internet, I went to YouTube, I'm trying to find any information, because once you're in this state,
You're driven.
You're like, oh god, I gotta find information. I need more, you know, and there's nothing. There was a handful of videos on YouTube, you know, of random people with whatever experience, and and then probably 6 months in, I'm like, I just happened to see this thing for Phoenix Psychedelics that they're meeting at this library. I'm like, oh, what? Let's go. You know, so we went to this library, and there was like 10 people. You know, it was a really small group.
Okay.
And we had just sat in a circle and we talked and, you know, shared our story, which was so just, what a weight lifted. Like, I talk to people that know, these people know, like, it's crazy. And you can't find those people in normal life usually. So it was very uplifting to find that group at that time. And over time they would meet like once a month or once every other month. But it was a real small kind of group, you know, and I met some really nice people. And it wasn't until one of the guys involved put together this thing at the Kava bar.
Yeah, right.
And he really put a lot of work into Adam Staples. He put a lot of work into this.
Yeah, right.
He had all these lecture speakers lined up for like, in the initial part it was like 4 months, I think, or 5 months.
Okay.
And it ended up going for 9 months straight of every Monday night we had a speaker on a different type of medicine or modality or whatever. And it was amazing. I was there the first night and I said, I'm not missing one of these. Yeah. And literally I was at the Grand Canyon on a Monday And I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta be at Meraki by 7.
That's a long drive.
I hauled ass back, got on I was there at 7. And I didn't miss a single one the entire time. I hadn't missed a single Monday. And at a certain point, see, I wanted to start my own at a certain point during that span, but I couldn't because of family stuff, and I didn't want to be, I didn't want to be in the spotlight for this kind of stuff because I'm not.
Right.
I don't do drugs. Yeah, like that's. but I felt so called to like help people and try to make this stuff more known and understood so people do it the right way as opposed to doing the wrong way and screwing everything up for everybody. So when he started doing this lecture series, I was like, I need to get involved in this, And I talked to Adam, and I talked to Troy, and I talked to Anna Trey, and I said, look, I just want to help. Like, I just want to help. I just want to be a part of it. So let's go. And they embraced that, and I appreciate that they allowed me to, be a part of that group because it's very needed.
It is very needed.
There's so many people that have just, you can tell by the look on their face. You know what I mean? How happy and overjoyed they are to be there, surrounded by people who understand what they've been through.
Yeah, and they get, it's interesting when someone approaches you there and they say, hey, you're so-and-so, right? Yeah. And, I guess the difference with me, Gary, than probably a lot of the members is I learned how to do it so structurally with such a super intent. And that hasn't wavered.
Yeah.
And my absolutely worship of that sacred medicine, it hasn't wavered. Don't look at it casually at all.
Yeah.
So
I think when I started, it was casual for sure. I heard about these things and I heard how they change people's lives. I heard all that, but I thought, let me just see what's really going on. Like, what is this really about? Are these people full of shit? Because I don't know.
I know. You don't know. You don't know until you know.
But I read a lot of books. I read a lot of books about it before I did anything because I'm super cautious. Drugs are just, they were the devil. They were just bad. And so once I decided, like, okay, I think mushrooms is the way to go. It seems like the safest thing. I looked at all the scientific research papers, published papers about the LD50 of the substance.
There is so much out there right now. Evidence.
So much more now.
Yeah.
It's crazy now. But back then it was very limited. And so I'm looking at these things going, seems like this one's the safest. There's something about LSD and an elephant. I don't know. I'll just stay over here with the mushrooms. And so once I decided, it was a conundrum because I don't know anybody in that realm. I don't know anybody. Where do you get this stuff?
Yeah, I know. That's that.
Where do you get this stuff?
Well, if for an average person, like, where do I even get mushroom?
Yeah.
When you first start off, where do I even get a microdose? You don't know. You're clueless to the whole thing.
Yeah. Now they sell it at gas stations. I don't even know.
In gummies.
But I'm like, well, I guess I got to grow it myself because there's no other option. You know what I mean?
Right. You have to, and then you sit with your own medicine.
Yeah, and you feel connected to that plant because you grew it. And you're like, oh, this is,
And that comes back to a rhetoric circle and answers the question for us that when do you know you need to take another journey? When it calls you, and then you sit with it one more time, and it delivers to you again, and again. But it calls you, and then it delivers to you what you need to know to become who you really are.
Yeah. I very rarely feel the urge anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because once you get the call, hang up the phone. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason to there's nothing else to talk about here.
Yeah, I know.
But occasionally, I'm like, I think I need to go back to that place to see what else it can show me.
Yeah, because I don't want to be the one that says, well, it's all fixed. It's all fixed.
I don't think it's ever all fixed.
Well,
you know
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But again, there's more truth out there. There's always, every time it plants a seed, and that seed then in the in-between times grows into more questions, and you're now deeper. See, the questions become deeper and deeper and deeper that you ask, and then it delivers, and then it becomes deeper and deeper, bigger and more profound that you were never able to ask on journey one because you didn't have the capacity, the mental capacity.
Yeah.
But now they get broader and bigger and deeper, and then your understanding is.
Yeah, that makes sense. And there's people out there. I mean, Graham Hancock has done ayahuasca like 70 times, 72 times.
Yeah.
How do you?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. Like I've done like pharmawaska. I've never even done actual ayahuasca.
Yeah, right.
But I can't imagine 72 times.
Well, we need to go to the jungle together then.
We do.
Come on, let's go.
Let's go. Peru. Let's hit it up.
I'm gonna go down the river and
Eat some guinea pig.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't care.
Eat
Whatever they
some
do down
guinea pig,
there. No, I'm down. I'm down to do that. But like, it's just however many times it calls you.
Yeah.
You know, that's really what it's about. Where are we at?
Well, I don't know. Ayahuasca. You know how many times the
Graham Hancock 72 times. Yeah, it's nuts.
I mean,
Nuts.
you let this call. You don't know when to do it or how. There's not a structure to this, correct?
Yeah.
There's not a structure. You wait till it calls you. You know, it's not like I'm going to know next week or I'm going to know next month. You know, I can say, you know, we talk about what has psilocybin done. You know, and originally my intent was, man, I got to find something for this OCD. It's a relationship destroyer. It drove employees that I had to quit. I mean, it was crazy. You know, it served many masters, but I just don't even care about anything anymore. Like, it's like, you know, the house doesn't have to be as immaculate. I'm not on top of the countertop cleaning the top of the kitchen cabinets. That's what OCD does to you. Or with raising my kids. Oh, don't you know? We are going to work on this for 4 hours before TV's on. You know, it's not important.
Yeah.
You know, and that's no different than the government trying to say, this is the kind of food you have to eat. This is the kind of job you have to have. You know, it's like no one should tell anybody. You know, we need to be parents. We need to guide what's right or wrong. But we gotta give these kids and everybody a chance to breathe.
I feel so bad for the kids of this generation. Like it's so hard to be a kid right now. Like these kids coming up, they for one they've lived in their whole life. The internet's been in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is, and social media has been in it.
Yeah.
That's a different world than what I even grew up in. And you're older than I am, but what I grew up in, there was no cell phones. There wasn't even pagers. There was none of that stuff until I got to high school.
No, we played outside.
I played outside the whole time. Yeah,
Okay,
that's it.
I know.
That's it. Till the fucking streetlights come on, you can stay out.
Then you come home. I know.
And I was pretty fortunate. I had pretty lax rules when I was a kid. I could do whatever I wanted, basically, which was great. I didn't get in too much trouble. I was pretty good, but like eventually I started getting in trouble, you know, which was a little bit of a bummer for my mom, but she didn't know about a lot of it, so that was good. That was good.
It's still, Gary, you know, we're talking about the psilocybin is prohibitive for a lot of people. I mean, the cost to take a structured journey like I took in Oregon is significant. Not nearly as much as if you're going to go down to Costa Rica. It's significantly more. And then you're usually with a group of people taking it all at once. Now, I'm a proponent that a journey's got to be one individual person, not group. I can't even imagine how many bouncing around.
We've got technical difficulties back here.
We see Ollie's over the shoes. I didn't see. Where did he go?
He fell out of his shoes. The camera fell on the floor. No, I agree with you. Like having too many people in a journey is very difficult to manage.
Yeah.
Like I've had some experiences where there was like 5 or 6 friends, like people I'm close with. That can be beautiful.
But have you ever heard? I mean, it's to hear yourself during a journey.
I have never recorded myself. I should. I should. I should.
There hasn't been a time that I haven't been incredibly vocal.
Yeah.
And like if I'm on a bed, I am rotating around. Clothes are being ripped in one direction. You know, it's like, you know, for the most part, mask is on. Sometimes the mask is going flying. I don't even know where it's at. Or I'll find it the next day and the mask is sobbing wet. You know, you could wring it with tears.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But those aren't always tears of sadness. Those can be tears of joy that you just can't believe what you just witnessed. And to hear what my conversation through a journey is so incredible because you're hearing one side of the story.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty wild. I feel like I'm pretty subdued when I'm tripping.
Really?
I really do. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, but I'm not real vocal.
Yeah, I don't know how to rate it because I don't know.
It's really an effort to speak.
Yeah.
A lot of the times.
You know, early on, the people from Bend, well, they've called me up and they said, hey, would you talk to so-and-so? They just went back to their home and they said they wanted to talk to you. They had a really, really bad journey. So I'm talking to these people and I'm talking to this one guy and he said, he says, I only took 3 grams. I wouldn't take the booster. And I lost my breath and I thought I was going to die and I was really afraid of dying, you know. And he's telling me all these things and he says, I just want to hear about your journey. And I would say, well, the best I can tell you is I let go of my breath and it just brought tears of joy about all the loved ones on their last breath, how it was so unimportant for our being, our soul. Our soul is who we are, not our flesh and blood. And each person had a different story about their journey, but it's the one and done. See, in Oregon, one is never going to fix anything. One journey is not going to fix a mental illness. One journey is not going to fix a chemical dependency.
Right.
It's not going to fix a marital affair. It's not going to fix all the maladies that people go and have a journey, a therapeutic journey.
I think it just like opens the door a little, and you haven't even stepped through it yet.
No,
you know what I mean.
It opens the door. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's what it does. It opens the door. Yeah. So at least that's where I'm in this whole process. It just opened the door, and I just keep taking my step.
With addiction, ibogaine can be a one and doneer. That substance is incredible.
I'm sure. Yeah.
It's the science has shown it just resets the neurons to the point where you're no longer physically addicted to the substance anymore, which is incredible. I mean, I would not try ibogaine casually. It's a serious trip.
Well, that's why we have the utmost respect for psilocybin.
Yeah.
Just incredible.
Yeah. So much fun. So, what's your plans now? What are you gonna do moving forward? Do you have goals here in this? Aspirations to move forward with the medicine or with Oregon? I mean, is there anything coming up with Oregon that you still got to do? Or
no, I just witness for them once in a while. You know, every once in a while they'll reach out to me and say, "Hey, will you?" Like recently, it was, would you provide us a 1-year synopsis of what has been different in a year? And they use that in their whole.
That's not tricky.
No, that was easy. And then I turned down. Then they had a whole big advertising company call me, and they wanted to do a whole podcast with me, and I didn't like the flavor of it, and so then I shut them down. I said, no, I won't do it with you guys, and because a lot of it had to do with their integration, and I don't agree with the way that they do integration.
Integration is so important with this
medicine. And rather than say something negative, I'd rather not say anything at all.
Yeah.
So I shut that down with them in Oregon. But when I'm back, I catch up with them, but I will never journey with again. Early on, after I met you, and then I think you introduced me to Troy, and I talked to Troy, and I met with Troy privately after that, and Troy says, you don't have to go to Oregon for a journey. Anyways, I was struggling and just finding my way through all of this.
Yeah.
And Troy was right. And I'm not that anybody has helped me or guided me on this process, but no. I mean, there is a lot of underground available that can probably do people as great a service as Oregon can dream of providing.
Yeah, the problem with medicalization and you know, making it part of the system is the cost.
Yes.
It's very cost prohibitive. I have a friend who went and did one of these things like you did, but it was like, I think she spent like $4,000. $4,000 for a 3-gram journey. 3 grams of mushrooms is not $4,000. I'm sorry. You can grow those mushrooms for fucking $20, less than $20.
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous that they would charge you $4,000 to do that. But she brought back this paper. She's a psychotherapist. She's certified doctor, you know, and she brought this stack of papers this thick, and she's like, Gary, look at this, and this is like the thing you have to fill out before you are accepted into this study, and it's page after page of questions and nonsense, and I'm like, what the hell is all of this?
Well, Gary, that's what even Oregon has.
Yeah.
To make applications.
That's
page
nuts.
after page after page after page after page.
That's
after,
crazy.
Yeah, it's everything. You're giving them your blood.
But we're looking at that going, we have to do this here in Arizona if we want this to go, because it was when this whole legislation went through with, they were given like $1 million or $5 million or whatever it was for therapeutic uses of psilocybin.
Therapeutic journeys, right. It's bizarre. And then the cost prohibitive. You know, at the beginning, very first journey, you know, I had to sign a paper, and it was it was only the one time I had to do that, and I guess they were learning along the way, and it was the bill from the licensed grower, right?
Okay.
So for 5 grams, this is what Bendable Therapy was going to pay.
Okay.
The licensed grower for 5 grams was $850.
Holy free holies.
Yeah, there's the receipt. So they said, well, you got to sign this. That was the receipt from the grower to Bendable Therapy.
5 grams.
5 grams.
Dude,
which is, you know how many mushrooms that is, Gary?
Maybe 6. Dried.
If they're small.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Dried.
Yeah,
it's
dried.
Nuts. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So you're right. Therapeutic journeys, licensed, sanctioned therapeutic journeys have limitations.
That's not the way to go.
No.
It really isn't. It's too structured too. It's I understand how you feel about this being structured and how you were kind of indoctrinated into that, doing it the right way. But not all of them do it the right way. And that's the problem. They have this, each one of them has their own way.
Yeah.
And then people come away thinking that's the right way.
Yeah.
Well, the right way is safe. That's it. Safe.
Well,
safe and making sure you're taking care of your mind.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Other than that, do whatever the fuck you want. You want to build an altar and fucking dance naked in front of it before you do your mushrooms? Go ahead. Have a fucking field day. But
or
just
out in
be
the woods,
safe.
rip your clothes off,
it.
dig into the earth if you really want to have the best possible therapeutic journey ever.
Yeah. Just be safe.
Yeah.
That's all it's about. I'm all about harm reduction. I want to make sure people are safe when they do these things. I want to make sure that they don't fuck it up for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Because as long as we take care of ourselves, as long as we are making sure that we start a journey and end a journey in a safe place, and there's no way of going out in traffic or jumping off a fucking rooftop or some nonsense that people talk about, then everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah, valid point. I mean, we all know you shouldn't drive or operate heavy machinery afterwards. I mean, we all know that.
You should also have a sitter though.
Yes.
Most people should have a sitter at all times.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you're gonna do.
No, I mean, a sitter is important. Set and setting. Incredibly important. Yeah. And having a playlist that's longer than 6 hours for me.
Playlists are awesome. Music can definitely change a trip. Like I did a trip one time where I listened to all Tool.
Yeah.
Like their Fear Inoculum album, I put it on. I was like, I want to see what happens if I do this, and I pushed play and it was on repeat. So I did the whole album. I listened to the whole album like 5 times. It was crazy because it does, you know how the waves come and you just ride it and you don't even know where the hell you are anymore. But I like to listen to like trip tracks, like Astral Anthony has some cool ones, and there's a Diurnal Beats or whatever that's called. They have some cool music too that's just sound waves more than anything.
create, like I'm working on for Journey 13 right now, right, from Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to 6 hours, so I'll probably cut it off or maybe put another couple more songs in it. So it takes time.
Do you do lyrical music or just
No, not
instrumental?
If it's lyrical, it's in a language I can't comprehend.
Right.
Okay. A lot of it is New Age, and I always have a favorite, David Gilmour at the beginning or something like that. Blue.
Nice.
Yeah, and then it'll take me down to where I want to go, but it doesn't matter because in a journey, and I'm sure you'll know this too, that all of a sudden there's music coming somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's so profound. And if it's a violin or something, you're seeing no human can write this music. And if they could, no human could ever perform this music. And it goes on, whatever song will go on for infinity. Like you're just floating the waves with it.
For me, when I'm listening, there's depending on what the instrument is,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times that instrument comes in and I just like instantly like transfixed on that string, that one string.
Yeah.
And I just dive into that string, and it's crazy. You just follow that note wherever it's going. It's
and technically, I think what you're trying to say, and help me if I'm wrong, but it's very much we're tuned in for vibrations, right? Mm-hmm. And the vibrations attract us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that's what all life is.
It's like our chakras, man. The vibrations will.
That's what all life is, man.
Yeah,
different vibrations.
Yeah, remember that. Hey, man, I feel the vibes.
Good vibes only.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Jim, I want to thank you for being here.
Hey, Gary, my pleasure, man.
And I hope that that your 13th journey is better than your first.
Man.
I know.
Wow.
That's going to be hard, but do it anyways.
Man, that's a good one. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for the Trippin Billies podcast. And we'll be back with more guests in the future. Adios.